Okay, so today we're going to dive into something a bit different. We've got these sources that, well, they look like exam prep material on the surface,
Right, do.
but they're actually, I think, a fantastic shortcut to understanding some, really core parts of modern enterprise IT.
Definitely. It's like getting a peek under the hood.
Exactly, like decoding the DNA of the tech that makes businesses tick today.
And these sources, they're from the HPE2-E84 exam practice questions or explanations. Now, yeah, the main goal is exam prep.
Sure.
It's web-based, an hour, 30 questions, 70% to pass, comes in English, Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, all that detail.
Right, but that's not our mission today.
Not at all. We're not here to cram for a test.
No. We want to unpack these questions, these scenarios, and really pull out the practical insights. We want to give you a clear picture of these key HPE technologies and, the bigger IT ideas behind them.
Turning test prep into, well, actual usable knowledge.
Exactly. So let's get into it. One of the first big things that jumps out is this fundamental shift in how businesses actually get and use their technology.
The consumption model.
Yeah, this whole as-a-service revolution. Let's start there. Flexible IT consumption.
Okay, so HPE GreenLake is central here. The core idea pulled from these questions is really about changing how IT is acquired.
Right.
It lets customers consume IT like a flexible service. Predictable costs, you pay for what you use. Sound familiar?
Sounds very cloud-like, but maybe on-prem.
Precisely. It brings that cloud economic model, paying as you go potentially into your own data center or wherever you need it.
Okay, let's unpack this. This sounds like a really fundamental change. Moving IT from, a big upfront cost.
A capital expenditure, yeah.
Right.
Like buying a building.
Right. To something more like rent, an operational expense. What's the big picture advantage there?
What's fascinating here is it moves IT from that capital expenditure, that CapEx, to an operational expense, OpEx. This gives organizations much more flexibility, like cloud agility, but potentially keeping control of their data on premises.
That makes sense, freeing up capital. But are there big hurdles? Like for a large company used to buying everything, what trips them up moving to OpEx?
That's a really good point. The financial side sounds great, but often the biggest hurdle is cultural or maybe process related.
How so?
Well, companies are used to owning assets. Shifting means new accounting, different procurement thinking, maybe even rethinking data governance if it feels less owned, even if it's still physically there. It's a mindset shift, not just numbers.
Okay, interesting. It's not just the bill. And the sources also talk about instant scalability with GreenLake.
Yes, question 1 really highlights this.
It's this flexible consumption model allowing you to scale up or down instantly based on, actual workload needs. No more guessing and buying too much upfront.
Exactly. No over-provisioning just in case, and no waiting for manual upgrades if you suddenly need more power.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Imagine the agility this gives a company facing, say, wild seasonal swings in demand. Or a startup just exploding.
Think about retail during the holidays.
Yeah.
Huge peak, right? Traditionally, they'd buy tons of gear months ahead, just for a few weeks. Then it sits idle.
Expensive dust collector.
Right. With GreenLake, they just dial up the resources for Black Friday, then dial them back down.
Yeah.
It's not just cost savings. It's responding to the market now. IT becomes an accelerator, not a drag.
Okay, that's powerful. And then there's reducing operational risk. Question 6 touches on this.
It does. GreenLake helps reduce IT operational risk through things like predictive maintenance and capacity planning services.
How does that work? And using analytics?
Yeah, using analytics and automation to, predict potential failures before they happen, plan capacity intelligently, keep things optimized.
So less downtime, fewer nasty surprises on the bill. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not just about paying for what you use, but also about proactively stopping problems. That seems like a game changer for business continuity.
Precisely. It shifts IT from being reactive, always fighting fires, to being proactive. Supporting growth, not just fixing breaks. Imagine launching something new, knowing your infrastructure is ready for the predicted demand. That's confidence.
That leads us nicely into our next theme, intelligent operations. All about monitoring, automation, analytics.
Making the infrastructure smarter.
Right. And when you talk prediction, HPE InfoSight comes up immediately. Question 2 focuses on this.
Yep. InfoSight's primary purpose is predictive analytics and proactive infrastructure monitoring.
Using AI and machine learning, right, to spot trouble ahead.
Exactly. It predicts potential issues, sends alerts, helps optimize performance. The goal is less downtime, better reliability.
So what does this all mean for IT teams? Less firefighting, more strategic planning. Is that the dream?
That's definitely the goal.
Oh, there's a but. Does this AI stuff create, like, new problems, new skills gaps, maybe?
It's not necessarily a problem, but it's a shift, a critical one. Yes, less firefighting, but IT teams need to become data interpreters, strategic advisors.
So it's not just about fixing things anymore.
Right. The challenge is learning how to use those AI insights effectively, integrate them into strategy, train people on these new recommendations. It elevates IT, but requires new skills.
Okay, that makes sense. It's an evolution. Now, building on that intelligent management idea, question 10 talks about HPE OneView.
Yes. OneView for data center management.
It mentions centralized infrastructure automation and monitoring, like one place to manage servers, storage, networking.
That's the core idea, a unified platform. It automates routine tasks, gives you real-time health checks, simplifies managing the whole life cycle of your gear.
I can see the appeal, less juggling different tools. But this raises an important question. When you centralize control that much, does that create a single point of failure? Or maybe integration headaches with older stuff?
That's a valid concern people often have. OneView is designed with resilience in mind, to avoid being that single weak link.
Okay.
The bigger challenge, honestly, is often integrating with legacy systems. Stuff that wasn't built for this kind of automated API-driven world.
So it takes planning.
Careful planning, yeah. Often a phased rollout. But the payoff is huge. Fewer human errors, much faster resource deployment, and you can actually see what your whole data center is doing. It turns complexity into something more streamlined, more responsive.
Powerful stuff. Okay, let's shift to our final theme. Specialized solutions for modern workloads. We're talking edge, hybrid, AI, data protection, the hot topics.
Right, the cutting edge, sometimes literally.
Let's start with edge computing. Question 3 brings this up, how it complements GreenLake's cloud offerings.
By processing data locally, to cut down latency and bandwidth use.
Okay, let's unpack this. The rise of IoT, real-time data. Local processing sounds incredibly important. Where does this really make a difference?
Think about a smart factory floor. Robots, sensors, generating tons of data, like constantly.
Right. Milliseconds matter.
Exactly. You can't afford the delay of sending everything to a central cloud and back for every little decision. Predictive maintenance on a machine, a robot needing to react now. Edge processes it right there.
Faster responses, real-time insights.
But, for the big picture stuff, long-term analysis, training massive AI models, archiving, the central cloud still makes sense for that heavy lifting. It's about right place, right time for processing.
Got it. Use the edge for speed, the cloud for scale. Now, simplifying infrastructure, especially at the edge or in hybrid setups. Question 4 points to HPE's Simplicity.
HCI, hyper-converged infrastructure.
It says Simplicity integrates compute, storage, networking, all into one box, basically.
That's the essence of HCI, yeah. Simplicity is HPE's take on it. Simplifies deployment, boosts performance, great for hybrid cloud.
So, for someone with an existing, maybe sprawling data center, is adopting Simplicity like a total rip and replace, or how does that work?
Good question. Rarely a full rip and replace. Usually you'd adopt something like Simplicity for specific projects, maybe new VDI or branch offices, or modernizing a part of the data center.
Targeted approach.
Exactly. Its strength is simplicity, efficiency, smaller footprint, less power. So you integrate it, migrate specific workloads onto it, rather than rebuilding everything from scratch.
Makes sense. Okay, shifting gears slightly, but still on modern workloads. AI. Question 5 talks about containerized AI workloads.
Yep, becoming very common.
And the critical capability mentioned is orchestrating container deployment and scaling automatically, using things like Kubernetes.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
AI workloads are so dynamic, they burst, they scale up and down.
Yeah.
You absolutely need something beyond manual setup.
Here's where it gets really interesting. What happens if you don't use proper orchestration? What breaks?
Oh, it would be chaos, honestly. Imagine trying to manually deploy, update, monitor, and scale potentially thousands of containers for your AI models.
Sounds impossible.
Pretty much. You'd have constant failures, huge inefficiencies, no way to guarantee resources. Kubernetes, or a similar orchestrator, is like the air traffic control that makes production AI even feasible.
Got it. It's the management layer that makes containers practical at scale. And sticking with AI, question 7 mentions HPE Ezmeral MLOps.
Right, MLOps, machine learning operations.
The advantage highlighted is simplifying model deployment and lifecycle management, streamlining the whole process from dev to production.
Exactly. It tackles the whole machine learning lifecycle, building, testing, deploying, monitoring, retraining models. makes it much easier and faster to get AI into actual use.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, MLOps isn't just some technical detail. It's about making AI actually work for a business, right? Can you give a quick example?
Sure. Think about a bank using AI for fraud detection. They developed a better model. Without MLOps, getting that new model safely into production could take weeks, maybe months. Manual handoffs, potential errors.
Slows everything down.
Massively. With something like Esmeralda MLOps, you streamline that whole pipeline. You can test, deploy, monitor that better model much faster, maybe in days. That means catching fraud sooner, saving real money. It brings agility to AI.
Makes AI practical, not just experimental. Okay, last one, but definitely not least. Question 8. The absolute non-negotiable data protection.
Couldn't agree more. Critical.
The source identifies HPE Data Protector for this, focused on backup and disaster recovery.
Yep, that's its specific role. Enterprise backup and DIR.
So what does this all mean for ensuring data is safe? We hear horror stories. How does Data Protector cover everything from, like, a single server failure to a huge disaster?
It aims for comprehensive protection.
Yeah.
For that single server failure, it lets you recover specific files or applications, quickly, granular recovery.
Okay.
For a big disaster, it's designed for rapid site-wide recovery. Think automated processes replicating data elsewhere. The key thing is consistency across different environments, physical servers, virtual machines, cloud stuff.
Manage it all together.
Exactly. One console to manage protection everywhere your data lives. It's about a unified strategy for business continuity, no matter what happens or where the data is. Keep exploring these concepts because understanding them is, well, it's absolutely key to navigating where technology is headed.
And how it's going to keep driving business forward. Thanks for diving in with us today.